Hello, so welcome to the computational thinking unit. So we're starting with lesson 1. There's going to be about 5 or 6 lessons on this. So we're going to concentrate on one concept of computational thinking a week. Okay, so now what you're going to understand is what computational thinking is, identify and discuss each stage of computational thinking, and solve some problems based on a stage of the computational thinking. So first of all, what is computational thinking? Well, computers are made to help us solve problems. So the first computer that was designed was mechanical. It wasn't like they are now. And what it was designed to solve complex equations. So what somebody did was engineer a computer to solve these complex equations, because they knew the formula, they knew how to do it exactly, but it took time for humans. And then what they thought they would do was make a computer to solve them quicker. Now, computers don't know any more than humans know. Okay, but before a problem can be tackled, it needs to be understood. So what is computational thinking? Well, computational thinking allows us to take a complex problem, understand what that problem is, and develop possible solutions. So in a way, you're kind of thinking like a computer. We can then present these solutions in a way that a computer or a human or both can understand them and solve them. Okay, so there are 5 stages of computational thinking. So one stage is decomposition. Another stage is pattern recognition, abstraction, algorithm design, and then debugging. So we're going to look at the problem. So a complex problem, at first glance, we simply don't know how to solve it. So when you first look at a problem, it can be overwhelming and we don't know how to solve it. Then what we do is, using computational thinking, that complex problem, we break it down into a series of smaller problems. So then we can tackle these smaller problems one at a time. And then after we looked at each problem individually, and we may solve a few of those problems, then what we do is we recognize a pattern on how to solve the next. Okay, so you build up some experience. Right, we solved this problem, we solved that problem. Okay, this next problem is going to be easy to tackle. And then what you do is you recognize the important details and dismiss the irrelevant details that may be sending you off on a tangent or making the problem seem overwhelming. So this is when you abstract the problem and you make the problem seem much simpler than what it first appeared to be. Then what we do is we create a set of instructions to solve the smaller problems. And then this lesson, what we're going to look at is we are going to focus on decomposition, so the first stage. Okay, so we're going to look at a problem. So basically what we're doing is we're going to look at a problem and we're going to break it down into series, smaller problems that can be tackled. That's all we're doing. Okay, so decomposition. Now, what is it? Well, it's simply breaking down a complex problem or a system into smaller problems and making them more manageable. That's all it is. So I've got an example for you. This is your intelligent little sister. Now, your intelligent little sister simply won't take, a simple answer. Okay, she won't accept a simple answer. She always wants to know why, and she always wants to know more. Okay, so now your intelligent little sister, who is highly, highly, highly intelligent, okay, is probably about 4 or 5 years old, and she can ask you lots of questions, and they're really intelligent questions, and not like other little 5-year-olds where you might be able to say yes but this, yes but that, but she will always come back with something more. So now, intelligent little sister looks up to you, and intelligent little sister thinks you know the answer to everything because you're in big school. So intelligent little sister asks, what is Europe? And you're like, oh no, I can't just tell her what Europe is because she's always going to come back with another question. So this seems like a really, really big problem. So now you need to think of a way in your head that you can answer this question. So you're going to tell her that Europe is a continent, but then you know that's not going to be enough for her. Okay, so she's going to say, but what is a continent? And then you can say, well, a continent is just a large mass of land that's separated by water and contains countries. You know she's going to come back and she's going to say, but what countries are in Europe? So you need to tell her what countries are in Europe. So you're going to tell her that, you know, there's Spain, there's Portugal, there's France, there's Switzerland, there's Germany, there's all these countries in Europe. So then she's going to say, okay, but where in the world is Europe? So what you do is you show her a globe and you can show her exactly where Europe is. Okay, so that's how we decompose a problem. Okay, now just go through that with you one more time. Okay, little sister says, so when little sister comes up to you and says, sorry, hang on, I'm going to go back to the original bit. So when little sister comes up to you and says, what is Europe? You're going to say, well, Europe is a continent. And then you're going to say, a continent is simply large masses of land that is separated by water that contains countries. Then little sister is going to say, but what countries are in Europe? Then you can tell her what countries are in Europe. Okay, so you can tell her all about Europe because you can show her all the countries that are in Europe and talk about them. And even if she asks how many countries there are, you can ask her to count them. Okay, so that is how we get our big problem and we can decompose it and we can make it into smaller problems. Then we started to recognize a pattern. We started to say, but she's going to ask how many countries in Europe. Well, I'll just get her to count them because, you know, that will take her some time. And then while, you know, she's counting them, I can probably look up how many countries there are. And then when she comes back and she's going to go, but where in the world is Europe? I can show her a globe. And then if she asks where the other continents are, I can point to them on the globe. Okay? So what you're going to do now is you've got a worksheet to complete. So this worksheet is on Google Classrooms, or you can click on the link directly under the video. And you're going to look at each problem and discuss how it can be decomposed. Okay? So, what information do you need to work out the circumference of a circle? Decompose that problem, discuss that problem in steps. Okay, what is the circumference of a circle? How do I work it out? What tools do I need? What formulas do I need? What knowledge of maths do I need? Listen to a song of your choice, and without cheating and looking on Google, how would you listen to that song and be able to identify the instruments within that song? Okay, so how can you listen for different instruments and then write them down? Okay, and then you've got a Victoria sponge cake. Write down a list of ingredients for a Victoria sponge cake. Now, the first thing you might want to look at is think, well, what are the ingredients for a sponge cake? Then after that, you can take a look. What does a Victoria sponge cake look like? What does it contain? How do you make it? And then next one is identify the playing positions in a rugby team. Now, I have no idea about rugby. I wouldn't have a clue. So how would I decompose that problem? Well, maybe I can ask someone that knows about rugby. Maybe I can take a look on the internet and see what positions there are. And then going back to that position, so if I find all these positions, what does each position do? Okay, decompose the problem. Okay, hope you enjoyed the lesson and the very best of luck to you.